Good afternoon. The pursuit of a shooting suspect in Aurora turned into a chase that ended with police crashing into a car of two bystanders, sending all three to the hospital.
9 News investigative reporter Kevin Vaughn shows us what we do know and what we don't know about this crash, which still has the suspect on the loose.
This morning, traffic was moving normally at the intersection of 6th Avenue and Peoria Street. 12 hours earlier, it was the scene of a crash involving an Aurora police officer involved in a chase.
There is no bright line rule for liability when it comes to police pursuits.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says it's too early to know whether that officer could face any repercussions.
In general, if you have your lights and siren going, you certainly are entitled to exceed the speed limit. But even then, you have to drive so as to not endanger other people or property with due regard to the safety of others.
The trouble started after 9 p.m. Sunday. That's when Aurora police learned that a woman had gone to the hospital reporting she'd been shot. That incident happened near the intersection of 6th Avenue and Del Mar Circle. A police officer later spotted an SUV believed to be used by the shooter. That was near the intersection of Parker Road and Dartmouth, and the officer chased the suspect. As the pursuit neared 6th and Peoria, the police car and an uninvolved vehicle collided. The officer and two people from the other car suffered injuries believed to be minor. Police later found the vehicle that was being pursued abandoned near 2nd Avenue and Peoria Street. The suspect remains at large. Now, investigators will determine whether the officer broke any laws or policies.
You have to know everything about what happened, why the pursuit was engaged in, and how the officer operated his or her vehicle during the pursuit. Those specifics are everything.
Aurora police have not provided any description of the suspect in this case and declined this afternoon to release any other information about this incident. We're continuing to ask questions, and when we have more, we'll report more. Tom?
These are two investigations, but they will be tied together. The external one as far as what took place, what started all this, and the internal one as far as what happened with the officer and the accident.
That's right. The question will be, did he break any laws and did he break any department policies?
We'll keep following it. Thank you, Kevin.
Xcel is facing a fourth lawsuit over Colorado's most destructive wildfire. A couple who lost property in the Marshall fire is now suing the utility, claiming it was negligent, didn't do enough to prevent the fire. This comes a month after fire investigators say Xcel's power lines were most likely the cause of one of the two fires that burned together on December 30th, 2021. The lawsuit claims Xcel could have changed settings or proactively turned off power that morning when it knew the winds would be dangerous. Xcel has said it doesn't believe its equipment started the fire.
A man who was arrested in the shooting death of a motorcyclist on I-70 told police that he was the driver of the suspect vehicle, but that another man in the passenger seat shot the victim. That is in the arrest affidavit from DPD. The motorcyclist, Kyle Van Luzenoord, was killed in the shooting shortly after midnight last Tuesday. It was on Saturday. Denver police said they'd arrested two men on suspicion of first-degree murder. Police say they're still investigating what led up to the shooting. Van Luzenoord's parents released a statement saying, quote, Kyle was a son and a brother who was loved very much. They also thanked DPD for their hard work that they put in trying to find those responsible for his death.
Law enforcement officers in Summit County shot and killed a man yesterday when Summit County tried to send an alert warning people in the area to shelter in place. They sent the wrong alert. The Summit County Sheriff's Office got a report yesterday morning of a man waving a gun and banging on residents' doors in the Summit Cove neighborhood. Deputies and officers with Dillon Police tried to de-escalate the situation. They say the man pointed a gun at officers, at which point officers shot and killed him. The county's Office of Emergency Management intended to send an alert for residents to shelter in place, but 911 managers told us an employee that was in training picked the wrong message template, one meant for an environmental hazard. A few minutes later, they sent out the proper alert and followed up with an all clear a few hours later. Taking a live look out at Boulder on a Monday afternoon. It finally, is it just me, or finally after this weekend feels like really it's summer?
Yeah, it's not
like
just you.
Summer.
But it could be just you.
It
Could be
not.
just me.
Tom, it is
could
not
be.
just her. It is like summer, because it is, but it's actually in the 90s today.
Yes.
Very July.
Yeah, you can, heat.
Yeah.
Like real heat.
Did you guys get outside at all today before work?
No, I've been working all day.
Have you,
Yeah,
Tom? Have
yeah,
you? Kim,
yeah.
no, he has not.
I've been
Kim,
at work.
How about you, Kim?
I did get out.
And?
I did. I walked the dog. Yeah, I did the little. Yeah, it's nice.
Right?
Nice.
It's beautiful. But you know what? It's not entirely calm. Not across the whole state. But in downtown Denver, it looks pretty good. We've got sunshine, blue skies, some fair weather, and friendly cumulus clouds crossing Boulder and Fort Collins. Nice day in the high country. Hard to believe there's still snow that has not melted off some of those higher peaks yet. Temperatures 93 downtown, 90 at the airport. Temperatures seasonal for a change, and we'll probably go warmer tomorrow and drier. Look at the moisture starting to shift off to the east. Our humidity now at 15% in Denver. Winds are pretty light today, and that should be a factor throughout the afternoon. We're tracking the threat of severe weather in extreme eastern Colorado. Severe thunderstorm watch from Burlington to Lamar, and this will go through the evening, probably until about 7 or 8 o'clock. There have been a few storms coming off the foothills tracking southeast, watching a little bit of activity around Sterling and Raymer, Colorado Springs, Castle Rock, Ordway. We've seen some small hail, some wind. These storms are racing southeast with lightning and heavy rain, and probably the biggest threat for severe weather next 2 hours. Eads, La Junta, Lamar, Springfield, and Kim, your town of Kim in southeastern Colorado. So we'll watch that area closely. Downtown Denver looks terrific right now. Storm Prediction Center does have eastern Colorado in that area for hail and rain, but it does not include downtown or the I-25 corridor. So we basically have fair skies, light winds, and a mild night tonight. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. Temperatures in the low 90s now will drop into the low 80s after sunset. And coming up in Maine weather, we got a warm, dry start to the week, but there are those thunderstorms off to the east. 90s this week. How many days will we see records? We got lots to talk about in Maine weather coming up.
Yeah, and your special Bastille Day forecast later in the week.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
She does the whole forecast in French.
Does she?
Yes.
I was just thinking we
Bastille
would get
Day?
French pastries.
It's on July 14th, so I guess that would be Friday.
And then what happens on that day?
Yeah, you do the whole forecast in French.
Oh, that should be fun.
Or you just have a glass of French wine and
Yes, Kim.
eat some cheese and call it good.
I think that we will celebrate in that way.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you do you.
Yep. And Kim can come with me.
Sounds better.
Bastille Day. All right. Thanks very much, Kathy. Hey, good news. Crews have made some progress on the Spring Creek fire that's burning near Parachute in the western slope. The fire containment is now up to 46%. It's burned more than 3,200 acres, though. Firefighters have been using drones, starting controlled fires to burn up some of the fuel, also to detect some hot spots. As far as the Devil's Thumb fire, that now listed as 30% contained. That is the fire burning near Fraser in Grand County. Officials believe the fire was most likely triggered by lightning, and it's in an area with a lot of those dead trees that give the fire more fuel to burn.
Tomorrow, tolls will begin on the express lanes of I-70 through Denver and Aurora. The express lanes span 10 miles between I-25 and Chambers Road. Drivers, of course, aren't required to use them and can use the other lanes for free. The express lanes will be open 24/7. They'll charge between $1.50 and $4.50 for vehicles with an express toll pass. The express lanes are free for motorcycles and carpoolers with 3 or more passengers.
We've been warning you, but it has started today. RTD pausing service on the L line light rail for 20 days. They're doing work on the rails themselves at 30th and Welton. RTD says the project is to replace one of the oldest sections of track in the system and also make for better crossings at Downing and 30th. The L line is expected to be back up and running on the last day of July, but until then, RTD says that taking bus route 43 is a good option.
It was a very good weekend for one person in Colorado. 3 people across the U.S. matched Powerball, and one of them in Colorado. Colorado's golden ticket, worth $1 million, was sold at the Murphy Express in Elizabeth. The other tickets were sold in California and Illinois. No one's won the Powerball grand prize since April 19th. That's when someone in Ohio won $252 million. The grand prize is now up to $650 million, and the next drawing is tonight. Meanwhile, the Mega Millions has grown to $480 million. The next drawing for that is tomorrow.
Colorado's Bluebird backcountry ski area announced they're closing the gates permanently. Bluebird opened for its first season in 2020. The idea to bring a backcountry model of skiing to Kremling. They offered what they said was a safer way to explore the backcountry with things like avalanche monitored areas and guides to help folks navigate the terrain. But in the announcement today, Bluebird said they were running out of financial runway on the way to actually making money. They said their goal was to what could be seen as dangerous and exclusive, more accessible and welcoming instead, despite the thrill of off-resort skiing being one of the biggest draws to the sport itself.
It's been 30 years since the Rockies' first season in the MLB. Saturday, we'll be airing an hour-long special about the history of baseball in Denver and the story of how Colorado got Major League Baseball. It's produced by former 9 News colleagues Kyle Dyer and Julie Andrews.
Coors Field is such a magical place. It gets people together, it gets longtime friends together.
The fans made us feel like we were the only team in town. And we talking about a Broncos city.
They've had a baseball team for 30 years. It just kind of happens, right? It only happens when there's people that have the passion and the will to make it happen.
There was no major league teams between Kansas City and Los Angeles at the time.
We had a major league football team, a major basketball team, but there was something missing.
You can watch when Colorado went Major League this Saturday, July 15th at 7 p.m. on Channel 20 or 9 News Plus. There's a free public screening of the film at 7 p.m. Thursday, July 13th in McGregor Square. Space is first come, first served, and coming up later in this hour, our Kyle Dyer, our good friend, is going to be here and talk about this documentary. Spent so much of the last year producing this with Julie.
Well, and you think of Kyle and you and me and many people who were here back in 1993 when it happened, the excitement that was part of it. So many people, though, I think have come to Colorado and know the Rockies in their current state, which isn't great, but the excitement that was building in 93.
What a big deal it was.
It was such a big thing because everyone was so excited at the concept for years and years and years, rumors and efforts to try to get Major League Baseball. The Oakland A's were going to move here.
We kept getting passed over.
Yeah.
Felt like.
93, it all came true. And it's going to be a great story, and we'll visit with Kyle coming up in a few minutes.